Now we're going to go ahead and explore how to identify these relationship lines through the actual software. A couple things I wanted to make note of first. With some previous submissions, there was some comments about spacing on your genograms between siblings and whatnot. So one quick trick is you can click on the relationship bar of any of these relationships. If you right click, you can update child spacing and it will space everything evenly across the relationship bar. And then you want to try to make sure that when you're dragging names to be in chronological order or whatnot, you try to get them to line up as best as possible to be an even straight line, so that way it's as clean as possible. And remember, you can always give yourself more space as needed simply by dragging the bars around. Just clean this up real quick. Okay, so now let's talk about some relationship markers. Now, how I like to do this is I like to go through and do one category at a time. So first, we've got me, the index person, highlighted here in this genogram. If we look down here at the bottom left, this is a quick attributes section. And in this attributes section, here are those little categories we mentioned in the previous lecture about psychological or abuse issues. So if we look here first, this little yellow one is suspected alcohol abuse, suspected drug abuse, serious psychological problems, serious physical problems, bisexual, incarcerated, transgendered man to woman, because it's on a male block right now, it'll say the opposite on a female block. Immigrant or immigration had happened, has lived in 2+ cultures, so more than 2 cultures. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, in recovery for alcohol abuse, in recovery for drug abuse, has disappeared, smoker, obese, and language difficulty. So what I'll usually do first is I'll click on an individual and I'll select what category I'll do. So I'm going to do smoking first. And I'll just go through, click every single person that I know is a smoker. There are quite a few in my family, so. All right, and next I'll pick another category. So for this case, I'll pick immigration. My grandmother was an immigrant from England. Then I'll pick another category, and I'll pick obesity. Am I doing the right one? No, that's disappeared. My apologies, I'm doing the wrong one. But if you see, you just click on the individual person and click on the box and it removes it. Easy as that. So we're going obesity. Okay, so now that we've got kind of some of these markers put in, there are some options here. Now, if you want to do a quick alcohol abuse or drug abuse section, you can do so, but there's another way. So first, let's pick my Aunt Diane here. You can either right-click and go to Attributes and edit Attributes, or click on the individual and go to Attributes and edit Attributes. So within this section, we have this whole list of things on the left. Okay, and we can go through and look at just different items on here. Let's check illnesses. Okay, my aunt had diabetes. She had hypertension. Income, you can put income information, languages here. Let's see, physical disabilities. There's one, yeah, here's a good one, psychological problems. So you can add psychological problems. Oh, I I double did it. So if you add one here that you didn't want, you can just remove. Okay, you can do race, you can do religion. There's a whole list of them here. Whatever's going to be significant to identifying relationships and giving as much detail as possible within your genogram. Okay, so then just hit OK to save it, and what happens is all these little guys pop up here, and you can move them to wherever they make sense, on top, on the bottom, and then notice here you also get a key. It'll appear differently. I had mine moved, so but the key will apply wherever. So you can go through each individual, click on Attributes, Edit Attributes. So my father was an amputee, so I can go in here and try to find that under Physical Disabilities, amputee. And then I remember he also had dyslexia, so I can go back in, I can hit Attributes, and hit Attributes again. And let's see. Under dyslexia. And I don't know if you guys noticed that. I'll show it to you again. I'll just do mine real quick. So Attributes, Edit Attributes. Under Cognitive Style, there's a list of certain things here. So I actually have attention deficit disorder, so I can add that there. Okay, but if you also look at psychological problems, you can see that there's a whole list of psychological problems there. Okay. And I can also add in here my education. So again, we're going to go to Attributes, Edit Attributes. And education. And bachelor's. Okay, so there's my education, and there is the diagnosis of the ADHD. Okay, so now we've got some of those specific individual details down. Remember, there may be more, there may be less, and there's a whole gamut that I could add for lots of my aunts and uncles and things, but just to save time, I think you guys kind of get the picture. If you have any questions about that, feel free to message your instructors about that. So now let's talk about some of the relationships. So my sister Amy, I can click on her, and we have this menu here on the bottom right. These are all those relationship arrows that we kind of talked about before. Now my sister Amy is extremely close with my brother David. So I can hit the double bar line and click to my brother David. And you can see that now there's an indicator for a close relationship. My sister Amy is also extremely close with my father. And so I just click like that, and there you go. My brother David is close with my father, but isn't extremely close. So I can, oh, excuse that. Let's change this. So I made an error, so I can just click on the relationship line and click delete. Are you sure you want to delete the relationship? Yes. And delete. Okay, back to normal. So again, my brother has a close relationship with my father, or a good positive relationship. My father and my mother have a distant relationship. Okay, there's that. And now let's look at some of the abuse indicators. So let's go. Sorry. That again was an error, so I'll click that and hit delete. Yes. So I'll click my grandfather. He physically abused my father and my grandmother. Emotionally abused my father. Okay, so that's an example of how these abuses go. We can say that I had a positive relationship with my grandmother here, and maybe I had a hostile relationship with my grandfather, just for example. It doesn't really matter, just however you feel the information lies, you can just make those bars to go together. My mother and her two siblings are very close. So do that again. And just like that. Okay. If there's any section that you want to note in and make some comments, you can hit the comment box. Add comment for Terry, which is my mother. Extremely, or let's just say very close with twin sisters Janice and Gail. Just hit OK, and then we get this little comment here. So that's pretty much that. If you guys have any questions or you just need assistance in any way, feel free again to contact your instructors and we'll be happy to help you. And I hope this helps explain how to build relationships between